Among thousands of royal gifts covered in gold and jewels, the smallest package without a name was the only one that made the Alpha King stop and wonder who had sent it. On the cold winter evening before Christmas, Silver Moon Palace shone brighter than ever. Thousands of candles illuminated the grand halls, and the kingdom gathered to celebrate another year of peace under the rule of the Alpha King. Powerful families arrived from every territory, carrying expensive gifts and carefully prepared messages meant to gain favor from the ruler of the werewolf realm. Everyone wanted the Alpha King to remember their name. Everyone wanted to be noticed. But hidden among the countless presents was one simple wooden box with no signature, no family crest, and no indication of where it came from. Alexander Whitmore had received many gifts throughout his years as king. Some were beautiful. Some were rare. Some carried the hidden expectations of those who offered them. But this small package felt different. When he opened it, he found something simple, carefully made, and completely unexpected. There was no request attached. No attempt to impress him. Only a thoughtful gift created by someone who seemed to understand that even a king could feel alone. Alexander looked at the package again, searching for a name that was not there. "Who sent this?" he asked quietly. The guards and servants looked at one another. No one knew. In a palace filled with information, the identity of one anonymous person remained completely unknown. For the first time in a long while, the Alpha King felt genuine curiosity. He had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from him. They wanted alliances, influence, and recognition. Very few people ever wondered what existed beneath the crown. But whoever created this gift had done something different. They had not treated him like a ruler. They had treated him like a person. Far away from the palace, Emily Carter had no idea that her small act of kindness had reached the hands of the most powerful alpha in the kingdom. She lived a quiet life away from the attention of noble families. As an Omega, she had grown accustomed to being overlooked. She knew what it felt like when people judged her before understanding her heart. That was why she never wanted her gift to carry her name. She did not send it for praise. She did not send it hoping the Alpha King would notice her. She simply wanted someone who carried the weight of an entire kingdom to know that someone cared. Emily returned to her small home that evening, watching the snow fall outside her window. She smiled softly, believing her secret gift had become just another forgotten moment. She never imagined that inside the palace, the Alpha King was still holding the gift and wondering about the person behind it. Alexander looked across the decorated hall, surrounded by hundreds of people, yet his thoughts remained with the one person who was not there. The unknown woman who had given him something no one else could offer. A moment of genuine kindness. And before the Christmas night ended, the Alpha King made a decision that surprised the entire palace. He wanted to find her. Not because of her family, not because of her status, but because for the first time in years, someone had reached him without asking for anything in return. The decision of the Alpha King surprised everyone inside Silver Moon Palace. For years, Alexander Whitmore had been known as a ruler who carefully considered every action. He did not make choices based on curiosity or emotion. Every decision had a purpose, every word had meaning. Yet on Christmas morning, the entire palace watched as the Alpha King requested something no one expected. He wanted to find the person behind the anonymous gift. The royal advisors assumed the mysterious sender must be someone from an influential family. They believed the gift came from a noble trying to gain the king's attention. But Alexander knew differently. The simplicity of the gift revealed something that wealth could not create. It carried sincerity. It carried warmth. It carried the feeling of someone who gave without expecting anything in return. "Find the person who created this gift," Alexander instructed. "I want to thank her personally." The search began throughout the kingdom. Servants checked records from the Christmas celebration. Messengers visited different territories. Noble families eagerly stepped forward, hoping they were the person the king wanted to meet. Many presented their own stories, explaining why they believed they were the mysterious giver. But every answer felt wrong to Alexander. None of them matched the quiet kindness he had felt from the gift. Meanwhile, Emily Carter continued living her ordinary life, completely unaware that the most powerful werewolf in the kingdom was searching for her. She spent her days helping her small community and caring for those around her. She never expected recognition. She had learned long ago that kindness did not always receive applause. Sometimes the most meaningful actions were the ones nobody noticed. Emily remembered making the gift during a quiet winter evening. She had thought about the Alpha King and the responsibilities he carried. She imagined how many people saw him only as a symbol of power. Few people probably wondered if he ever felt tired or lonely. That thought stayed with her. So she created something simple, hoping it would remind him that someone appreciated the person behind the crown. She never included her name because she did not want attention. She believed the message mattered more than the person who delivered it. Days passed and Alexander's search continued. The mystery only grew deeper. The more people he questioned, the more he realized that the woman behind the gift was different from everyone else around him. She was not seeking influence. She was not trying to become important. She had simply chosen kindness when no one was watching. One evening, Alexander stood in the palace library, holding the gift again. The winter moonlight entered through the tall windows as he looked at the small creation that had captured his attention. For a moment, the Alpha King wondered what kind of person could offer such genuine warmth without ever expecting a reward. Somewhere in the vast kingdom, there was a woman who had no idea that her kindness had reached the heart of the king. And soon, the search for the unknown Omega would lead Alexander toward a truth that would change both of their lives forever. While the Alpha King continued searching through the kingdom, Emily Carter remained unaware that her quiet act of kindness had created a mystery inside Silver Moon Palace. To her, the Christmas gift was only a small gesture. It was something she had done because she believed every person deserved a moment of warmth, even someone as powerful as the Alpha King. She never imagined that the simple package would become the one thing Alexander Whitmore could not stop thinking about. In the weeks following Christmas, Alexander began paying closer attention to the details of the gift. The craftsmanship was careful but not expensive. The design was simple but meaningful. Whoever created it had spent time thinking about what would bring comfort rather than what would create admiration. That realization stayed with him. The Alpha King had spent years surrounded by people who wanted to impress him. They showed him luxury, status, and ambition. But this anonymous Omega had offered something different. She had offered kindness without asking to be seen. The search eventually reached the smaller communities outside the royal territories. The palace messengers traveled from village to village, asking about anyone who might have created a special Christmas gift. Many people were surprised by the search. Some wondered why the Alpha King cared so much about one unknown person. Others believed the mysterious woman must have an important background. But the truth was much simpler. She was someone who had never expected anything in return. In a quiet village covered with fresh winter snow, Emily continued her daily routine. She helped prepare meals for families nearby and spent time creating small handmade items for community celebrations. She was known as someone who always noticed when others needed support. Yet very few people knew how often she had felt invisible herself. Growing up as an Omega, Emily had experienced moments when others judged her before learning who she truly was. Some people believed her role limited her future. Some believed she should stay silent and accept whatever place society gave her. But Emily refused to let those opinions change her heart. She understood what it felt like to be ignored, and that was why she always tried to make others feel valued. One afternoon, a royal messenger arrived in the village. The news immediately spread that the palace was searching for the person behind the anonymous Christmas gift. Emily listened quietly as villagers discussed the mystery. She smiled slightly, never imagining that she was the person everyone was looking for. "Whoever she is, I hope she knows her kindness mattered," someone said. Emily looked away and softly replied, "I am sure she only wanted to do something good." Her words revealed exactly why she was different. She never considered herself special. She never thought her actions deserved attention. She simply believed kindness should exist even when nobody was watching. Back at Silver Moon Palace, Alexander received another report from the search team. Still, no name had been discovered. The mystery remained. But instead of becoming frustrated, the Alpha King felt even more determined. He wanted to meet the person who had reminded him of something he had almost forgotten. Behind the title, behind the crown, behind the responsibility of ruling an entire kingdom, he was still someone who wanted to feel genuine connection. And somewhere beyond the palace walls, The Omega who had changed his Christmas was closer than anyone realized. The winter days continued to pass, and the mystery surrounding the anonymous Christmas gift became a story whispered throughout the Silver Moon Kingdom. Everyone wondered who the unknown person was, but only one person knew the truth. Emily Carter carried on with her peaceful life, never realizing that the Alpha King himself was searching for her. She believed the moment had already passed. The gift had been delivered, the message had been shared, and that was enough for her. She never expected anything more. In her small home outside the royal territories, Emily carefully prepared supplies for the upcoming winter season. She spent her time helping neighbors, checking on elderly villagers, and creating handmade items for children who needed a little extra happiness during the cold months. Her kindness was natural. She did not think about recognition or rewards. To Emily, helping others was simply something worth doing. But inside Silver Moon Palace, Alexander Whitmore continued to think about the mysterious gift. The more he learned about the person behind it, the more he wanted to meet her. He had spent years surrounded by people who carefully chose every word around him. Many admired the crown, but few cared about the person who carried it. The anonymous gift had reminded him of something rare: genuine kindness. One evening, Alexander walked through the palace halls and stopped near the room where the gift was displayed. The small wooden box looked simple among the treasures collected by previous kings. Yet somehow it carried more meaning than anything made from gold or precious stones. A person who creates something like this does not seek attention, Alexander said quietly. His closest advisor nodded. Then perhaps she does not want to be found. Alexander looked at the gift for a moment. Maybe. But someone who gives kindness without expecting anything deserves to know that it mattered. Meanwhile, Emily's peaceful routine changed when a royal announcement reached her village. The palace was searching for the creator of the anonymous Christmas gift. The villagers immediately became curious. They discussed possible identities and wondered which noble family might be behind the mystery. Emily listened from a distance, feeling a strange connection to the conversation but never imagining the truth. She had never considered herself someone the Alpha King would notice. She was only an Omega who had learned to live quietly. An Omega who understood that sometimes the world overlooked gentle people. Later that evening, Emily sat near her window and looked at the winter sky. She remembered the night she created the gift. She remembered thinking about how lonely the Alpha King must feel carrying so much responsibility. She had wondered if anyone ever asked him how he was doing instead of asking what he could provide. That was the reason she sent the gift. Not because he was the most powerful person in the kingdom, but because, beneath the title, he was still someone who deserved kindness. At the palace, Alexander received new information from the search team. The trail had finally reached a small village outside the main territories. For the first time, there was a possibility that the mysterious gift giver was close. The Alpha King looked toward the snowy landscape beyond the palace windows. He did not know her name yet. He did not know her story. But he knew one thing. The person who gave him the most meaningful Christmas gift was not someone searching for a place beside him. She was someone who had quietly shown him that even a king could be remembered as a person. And soon their paths would finally meet. The journey that began with a simple Christmas gift finally brought the Alpha King closer to the person he had been searching for. After weeks of searching through the Silver Moon Kingdom, Alexander Whitmore received the news he had been waiting for. The royal team had discovered a small village where the mysterious gift might have been created. Yet the Alpha King did not rush because of curiosity alone. He wanted to approach the unknown Omega with respect. He understood that someone who chose to remain anonymous was not seeking attention. She had given kindness quietly, and he wanted to honor that. Meanwhile, Emily Carter continued her ordinary day, unaware that the most powerful werewolf in the kingdom was about to enter her world. She was helping prepare the village hall for a winter gathering when she noticed unusual activity nearby. Several royal representatives had arrived, and the villagers gathered with surprise. Emily watched from a distance, wondering why the palace would visit such a small place. She never imagined the reason involved her. When Alexander arrived, the atmosphere changed immediately. The villagers lowered their heads respectfully, but the Alpha King did not focus on the attention around him. His eyes searched through the crowd, looking for someone he had never met, but somehow already felt connected to. Then he saw her. Emily stood quietly among the villagers, holding a small basket of winter supplies. She did not look like someone trying to impress a king. She did not step forward or seek recognition. She simply watched with the same calm kindness she showed everyone else. Alexander noticed something familiar. The gentle presence he had felt through the anonymous gift was standing right in front of him. He approached her slowly. "May I speak with you for a moment?" he asked. Emily looked surprised. She never expected the Alpha King to notice her. "Of course, Your Majesty," she replied softly. Alexander held the small gift box in his hands. "Do you know who created this?" he asked. Emily looked at the box and immediately recognized it. For a moment she became quiet. She wondered if she should reveal the truth. She had never wanted attention. She had only wanted to offer a small reminder that someone cared. Finally she nodded. "I created it." The people nearby became silent. They had expected someone important. Someone from a powerful family. They never expected the answer to be Emily, a quiet Omega from a small village. Alexander looked at her with genuine appreciation. "Why did you send it without your name?" he asked. Emily lowered her eyes slightly. "Because I did not want anything from you. I only wanted you to know that someone appreciated everything you do for the kingdom." Her answer stayed with him. After all the years of leadership, responsibility, and expectations, no one had spoken to him that way. Not as a king. Not as an alpha. Simply as a person. Alexander realized that the woman in front of him was exactly the person he had hoped to find. Her strength was not shown through status or influence. It was shown through her ability to care even when nobody was watching. Before leaving the village, the Alpha King thanked Emily personally. But as he walked back toward the royal carriage, he knew this meeting was not the end of the story. The anonymous gift had led him to the Omega who had changed his Christmas. And now, he wanted to understand the heart behind the kindness that had reached him when he needed it most. After the Alpha King returned to Silver Moon Palace, he found himself thinking about the same quiet moment again and again. For years, Alexander Whitmore had believed that being a strong ruler meant carrying every responsibility. Without hesitation, he had accepted that many people would only see the crown, the title, and the power that came with being the Alpha King. But meeting Emily Carter reminded him that there were still people who could see beyond all of that. She had not approached him with expectations. She had not tried to gain influence. She had simply offered kindness when nobody else was watching. Meanwhile, Emily returned to her village, believing everything would return to normal. She never imagined that her conversation with the Alpha King would remain in his thoughts. To her, it was only a brief moment when she answered his questions honestly. She did not believe she had done anything extraordinary, but Alexander saw something different. He saw a person who had remained gentle despite being overlooked by others. A few days later, an unexpected invitation arrived at Emily's home. The Alpha King had requested her presence at Silver Moon Palace. The message was respectful and clear. He wanted to thank her and speak with her again. Emily stared at the invitation with uncertainty. She had spent years avoiding attention. The palace was a place filled with powerful families, important traditions, and people who might judge her before knowing her. She wondered if someone like her truly belonged there. But she also remembered the kindness she had hoped to share with Alexander. After careful thought, Emily accepted. When she arrived at Silver Moon Palace, she was amazed by its beauty. The enormous halls, the detailed decorations, and the peaceful atmosphere showed the history of the kingdom. Yet what surprised her most was how different Alexander seemed away from the public ceremonies. Without the pressure of the crowd, he appeared less like a distant ruler and more like a person searching for a genuine conversation. "I hope this visit does not make you uncomfortable," Alexander said. Emily smiled softly. "I am just surprised that something so small meant so much to you." Alexander looked at her thoughtfully. "That is exactly why it mattered. Most people who approach me want to be remembered. You wanted me to remember that I was not alone." Those words made Emily quiet. She had never considered that her simple gesture could have such an impact. During their conversation, Alexander learned more about her life. He discovered that Emily spent much of her time helping others, even when she received little appreciation herself. She spoke about her village, the people she cared about, and the importance of making others feel valued. Every answer showed the same sincerity he had sensed from the beginning. Emily also learned more about Alexander. She discovered that being the Alpha King was not only about authority. It meant carrying the hopes and worries of an entire kingdom. Behind his calm expression was someone who rarely had the chance to speak honestly. Their conversation continued longer than either expected. For the first time, Alexander felt like someone understood him without wanting anything in return. And for the first time, Emily felt like someone powerful truly saw her. When the evening ended, neither of them knew what the future would bring. But both understood one important truth. The anonymous gift had not only connected a forgotten Omega with the Alpha King. It had created the beginning of a bond built on trust, respect, and a kindness that neither of them would forget. The connection between Alexander Whitmore and Emily Carter continued to grow, but neither of them expected how quickly a simple conversation could change the way they saw the world around them. For Alexander, the days after Emily's visit felt different. The palace remained the same, the responsibilities remained the same, and the kingdom still looked to him for guidance. Yet something inside him had shifted. He no longer saw his role as only protecting the kingdom through decisions made from the throne. Emily had reminded him that understanding people was just as important as leading them. Meanwhile, Emily struggled with the attention that came after her visit to Silver Moon Palace. She had hoped their conversation would remain private, but rumors began spreading among the noble circles. People wanted to know why the Alpha King had invited an unknown Omega to the palace. Some were curious, while others questioned his decision. Emily heard the whispers but tried not to let them change who she was. She had never entered the palace seeking recognition. She had only answered the invitation because she believed everyone deserved to be treated with honesty and respect. Alexander noticed the reactions from the kingdom. He understood that traditions built over generations would not disappear overnight. Many people had grown used to judging others by family background, status, and position. Emily challenged those beliefs simply by being herself. During a royal gathering, several noble families gathered at Silver Moon Palace. The event was meant to discuss the future of the kingdom, but many conversations quietly returned to the same topic: the mysterious Omega who had gained the Alpha King's attention. One advisor respectfully questioned Alexander's choice. "Your Majesty, many are wondering why someone with no noble connection has been invited into royal discussions." The room became quiet. Alexander looked around before answering. "Because wisdom does not come only from titles or family names." His voice remained calm. "A person who understands compassion and responsibility can offer something valuable to the kingdom." Emily listened carefully. She did not want Alexander to defend her simply because he respected her. She wanted people to understand that every person deserved a chance to be heard. Later, she spoke with him privately. "You do not have to change everything because of me," she said. Alexander looked at her with a gentle expression. "I am not changing things because of you. I am changing things because you reminded me of something important." Emily asked what he meant. "A kingdom is not measured only by its strongest members. It is measured by how it treats those who are often forgotten." Those words stayed with her. For so long, Emily believed being overlooked was something she had to accept. But now she began to understand that being unseen by others never meant she lacked value. As the weeks passed, Alexander continued inviting Emily to share her thoughts about the kingdom. He did not place her beside him because she was a mystery, or because she had given him a meaningful gift. He valued her because of the person she had always been. The Omega who once believed she belonged in the background was slowly discovering her own voice. And the Alpha King who had spent years searching for loyalty had finally found someone who offered him something far more precious: genuine kindness. The changes within Silver Moon Kingdom continued to spread, and with each passing day, more people began to understand why the Alpha King trusted Emily Carter. She was no longer seen as only the mysterious Omega behind a Christmas gift. She had become someone whose perspective brought a different kind of wisdom to the royal court. Still, Emily remained the same person she had always been. She never searched for attention. She never wanted power. She simply believed that every person deserved to be treated with kindness and respect. Alexander Whitmore admired that quality more than anything else. He had met many people who wanted to stand near the throne because of what it represented. But Emily was different. She stood beside him because she cared about the person behind the crown. As their connection grew stronger, Alexander invited Emily to visit different areas of the kingdom with him. He wanted her to see the people he served and understand the responsibilities he carried. More importantly, he wanted to hear her thoughts. During their journey, Emily noticed things that others often ignored. She listened to villagers who rarely had the opportunity to speak with the royal family. She asked questions about their daily lives and shared ideas about how the kingdom could better support its people. Alexander watched quietly as she connected with everyone around her. She did not act like someone trying to impress the Alpha King. She acted like someone who genuinely cared. One afternoon, they visited a small community near the northern forests. The villagers welcomed them warmly, but Emily noticed that many families struggled during the harsh winter months. She suggested creating stronger support systems between the palace and smaller communities. Her idea was simple, but it came from understanding. Alexander immediately recognized the value of her words. "You notice what others overlook," he told her. Emily smiled. "Maybe because I know what it feels like to be overlooked." Her answer reminded him why she was different. She understood people because she had once needed someone to understand her. However, not everyone welcomed the changes. Some members of the noble family still believed Emily's influence was growing too quickly. They questioned why an Omega without a powerful family name was being trusted with important conversations. The rumors reached Emily, and for the first time since entering the royal world, she wondered if she was creating problems for Alexander. That evening, she stood quietly in the palace gardens, thinking about whether she should step away. Alexander found her there, and immediately noticed her uncertainty. "You are thinking about leaving," he said. Emily looked surprised. "How did you know?" "Because you always worry about everyone else before yourself." She looked down and admitted her fear. "I do not want people to think I am here because of your kindness. I want them to believe I deserve this." Alexander smiled gently. "Emily, you do not have a place here because I gave it to you. You have a place here because you earned it." His words reminded her of the truth she had slowly begun to accept. Her value was never created by the Alpha King. It had always existed. The next morning, Emily returned to the royal court with a new confidence. She did not need to prove that she belonged. She only needed to continue being the person who had changed the heart of the Alpha King with nothing more than a simple act of kindness. And as the kingdom watched her rise, they began to understand that the greatest changes often begin with the quietest voices. The story of Emily Carter and Alexander Whitmore became something the Silver Moon Kingdom would remember for generations. What began with a simple Christmas gift from an unknown Omega had transformed into a reminder that true value was never determined by status, family name, or power. Emily once believed she was someone the world would continue to overlook. She had spent years quietly helping others while accepting that her own dreams should remain small. But the kindness she offered without expecting anything in return revealed a truth she had forgotten. Even the quietest person could create a powerful change. As time passed, Emily continued working beside the Alpha King, not as someone who stood in his shadow, but as someone who shared his vision for a better kingdom. She helped create stronger connections between the palace and the people. She listened to voices that had often been ignored and reminded everyone that leadership was not only about making decisions. It was about understanding the hearts of those affected by them. Alexander saw the transformation clearly. The woman who once believed she did not belong now stood with confidence, sharing ideas that helped shape the future of the realm. But what impressed him most was that success never changed who she was. Emily remained thoughtful, humble, and compassionate. She never forgot the days when she felt invisible, and those memories continued to guide her choices. On a quiet winter evening, Alexander and Emily returned to the place where their journey had begun. The palace gardens were covered with a gentle layer of snow, and the same peaceful atmosphere surrounded them as they reflected on everything that had changed. Alexander looked at Emily and smiled. "Do you ever think about that Christmas gift?" he asked. Emily laughed softly. "Sometimes. I still cannot believe something so small caused so much change." Alexander looked toward the palace lights. It was never about the gift itself. It was about the person who created it. Emily looked at him quietly. "I only wanted someone to know they mattered." Alexander nodded. "And you reminded an entire kingdom of that." Those words meant more to Emily than any title or position could have given her. She realized that she had not been chosen because she was different from everyone else. She had been recognized because she had always carried something meaningful inside her. Her kindness was not a weakness. It was her greatest strength. Across the kingdom, people began telling the story of the Omega who sent a gift without a name, and the Alpha King who searched for the person behind it. They remembered that the most valuable gestures were not always the grandest ones. Sometimes they came from someone who expected nothing, someone who simply wanted to bring a little warmth into another person's life. Alexander had found more than the sender of an anonymous gift. He had found someone who showed him a different way to lead. Emily had found more than recognition. She had found a place where she was valued for exactly who she was. Their journey became a symbol of hope throughout the werewolf realm, proving that destiny does not always arrive with a loud announcement. Sometimes it begins quietly, with a small act of kindness that reaches the right person at the right moment. And from that Christmas onward, the kingdom remembered one simple truth: the most powerful hearts are often the ones that choose kindness when nobody is watching.